Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tearing into a source document that, well, it details a really pivotal, world-changing moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that shift, from Jesus's direct ministry to the mission he gave his followers.
Yeah.
The document bases itself on those first few verses of Acts outlining what it calls Christ's unfinished task.
It really is the ultimate transition story, isn't it?
Yeah.
The core problem it tackles is basically logistics. How do you take this completely revolutionary mission started by one person,
Right.
and then instantly scale it to reach, well, the whole known world? It's kind of the blueprint for this massive movement.
And that scope is just foundational from the start. The message really emphasizes that this huge mandate begins locally, right there in Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Then it expands methodically, Judea, Samaria, and then boom, unto the uttermost part of the earth.
It's a very deliberate sequence.
Yeah, not just random scattering.
No, it sets the scale immediately.
Yeah,
You can't really hope to reach the ends of the earth if you don't start right where you are.
good point.
And you have to get that your local effort is just the first domino in a global plan.
Okay, so let's unpack the foundation for this mandate. The source kicks off by looking at that very first line of Acts, noting Jesus began both to do and teach.
Right.
That word began. It feels pretty critical. It implies, well, incompleteness.
Exactly. He started it, but he deliberately didn't wrap it all up himself. He set up the handoff.
So what was being handed off? The writer stresses this wasn't just like common knowledge being passed along.
No, not at all. This was uncommon teaching. The source insists Christ's instruction was, and I quote, entirely new, deep, revolutionary, and life-transforming.
Wow.
Fundamentally different from anything in the Old Testament.
That's a massive claim. I mean, you're talking Genesis to Malachi. What exactly made this teaching so revolutionary compared to the law and the prophets?
Well, it was about unveiling these eternal truths,
Mm-hmm.
things that the source cites had been kept secret since the world began, mysteries finally revealed.
Like what? Can you give an example?
Think about the radical idea of needing spiritual rebirth, being born again, that whole concept.
Mm-hmm.
Or the idea that real stability in life is only found when you explicitly build on Christ's sayings.
Mm-hmm.
The source argues these weren't just like moral tweaks. They demanded total foundational change deep inside.
Right, not just surface level. But it wasn't only the teaching, was it? The source moves quickly to the doing part.
The actions.
The physical acts, the unprecedented testimonial, which provided undeniable proof of who he was.
Precisely. The argument being made is that Christ's miracles went way beyond even the most powerful stuff we see from Old Testament prophets.
Okay.
Their sheer uniqueness was like the ultimate credential, fulfilling prophecy in a way no one else possibly could.
But hold on, didn't Moses part the Red Sea? Didn't Elijah raise the dead? Why has the source put so much weight on the uniqueness of Christ's miracles?
It's the specificity of the signs. Take the healing of those born blind.
Ah.
The text points out that particular miracle.
Hmm.
It was unheard of. Never heard of since the world began. It was like his signature move.
So specific it couldn't be mistaken.
Right. And it was so unexpected, so complete. When he healed the paralytic instantly, the crowd wasn't just impressed, they were stunned. They actually said, "We have never seen it on this fashion."
Wow.
So the source argues these signs, the blind seeing, the lame walking, lepers cleansed, they were the impossible made real. Compelling proof about his identity.
Okay, so the followers have this revolutionary message. They have the undeniable proof. And then the mission pivots. We shift to the commission itself, the mandate.
Yeah. After the resurrection, the command is crystal clear.
Go ye therefore and teach all nations and preach the gospel to every creature. It's huge.
And is enormous. But look at the detail. Teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you.
Right, all things.
The source really stresses this. It goes way beyond just, getting people to sign up. It's about total discipleship, teaching every single aspect of this new life and prioritizing obedience to all the commands, not just the easy ones.
This brings us to something I find really challenging in the source material. It's the distinction it draws for this mission.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the goal is making the world better, and we see all these global issues, poverty, war, climate, how can the source argue the follower's mandate is distinct from those secular efforts? Isn't helping people economically or politically part of a, compassionate Christian outlook?
That's the tension, isn't it? And the source hits it head on. It's a critical point.
Mm-hmm.
It clarifies that while Jesus himself worked as a carpenter, a totally secular job that was never his ultimate focus.
Okay.
His core priority, as he stated, was always to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work.
So the source isn't saying social action is bad,
No, not at all.
but that it shouldn't eclipse the main spiritual transformative goal.
Exactly that. The mission is defined by its specific outcome, bringing people from spiritual darkness into light. So the constant focus for the follower, no matter their day job, has to be obedience to that specific task.
Right.
If your actions, your time, your money are mainly focused on other things, even good things, then according to this source, you're kind of misaligned with the central mandate he gave.
The document really doesn't pull any punches there. It puts a sharp question right to you, the listener. Has your work, your labor, truly lined up with Christ's specific mandate? Or has it drifted into other, maybe necessary, but ultimately distinct secular efforts?
Yeah, it forces a kind of priority audit.
Definitely.
It shifts the goalposts away from just personal success or, feeling happy, towards focused obedience and actual fruitfulness in the specific area Christ marked out.
Okay, this leads us straight into the strategy for actually doing this.
Yeah.
If the mandate is global and the level of discipleship needed is so incredibly high, the resources required must be immense. Yet the very first instruction he gives the followers is, well, it's completely counterintuitive.
Yeah, it seems backward.
They were commanded that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father. This whole command for unconventional tarrying.
It sounds absurdly inefficient, doesn't it? You've got this dying world waiting for the message, and the messengers are told to just sit still.
Yeah, go, go, go.
But the source makes it absolutely clear. Toiling without tarrying. It's doomed to fail. You have to get the equipment before you try to do the job.
So what exactly were they waiting for? Was it just about learning patience or something?
No, it was much more specific. It was a necessary power transfer. Christ drew a really sharp line between John's water baptism and the promised one. You shall be baptized with the Holy Ghost not many days hence.
Okay.
The waiting was all about preparation, to be endued with power from on high, which basically means being spiritually equipped, like properly furnished for the task ahead.
You know, the modern mindset is always, if you have a massive task, you start immediately. You rely on your training, your good intentions, your sheer effort. Why does the source insist that just relying on that human effort is destined to fail here?
Because human strength just runs out. It's finite.
Yeah.
The source points to Isaiah 40, which warns that even young, strong people, if they only rely on their own energy, just the natural strength of running and toiling, they will inevitably faint and be weary and utterly fall.
Right.
The mission is just too big, too supernatural for mere human capacity to handle alone.
So the power actually comes from the waiting. That image in Isaiah 40.31 is pretty striking. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint.
And it's important to see that this waiting isn't passive loafing around.
Right, not just killing time.
No, it's an active spiritual discipline. And it's connected to thirst. The source links this to Christ crying out in John 7, "If any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink." It's this active longing, this readiness, that's the condition for receiving that living water, the Spirit, which provides the actual power.
So what does this active waiting look like for someone today? I mean, we don't have a specific room in Jerusalem to sit in for 10 days.
Well, the underlying principle hasn't changed. It's the necessity of sustained spiritual alignment and preparation. That power promised in Acts 1.8, the ability to be a bold witness, it's tied directly to persistent and unwavering, steadfast supplication, which is just focused prayer.
Okay.
The early church, waiting in that room, they showed us how it works immediately. They prayed so intensely that later in Acts it says the place was shaken where they were assembled together. That's the kind of connection we're talking about.
Wow. And the payoff for this unconventional waiting strategy is what the source calls the possession of fullness for uncompromising steadfast service. That phrase always gets me. Unction to function.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like niche jargon, maybe.
Yeah.
But the idea is really powerful. It means getting the spiritual equipment, the divine enablement you actually need to do the job effectively without burning out from just human effort.
Makes sense.
The promise is that this infilling, this waiting and receiving, will lead to better, higher, greater seasons of effective ministry, moving beyond just being busy to being truly lastingly fruitful. The goal is nothing less than being filled with all the fullness of God and having your service reflect that.
This has been a really profound deep dive. Looking at the blueprint Christ left, we went from understanding those revolutionary teachings and the undeniable proof of his miracles
Right.
through the clear global mandate for discipleship and obedience. And finally, landing on this crucial preparation step, the unconventional tarrying to get the necessary power.
It's quite the journey.
It really is. It's a powerful call to actually align your life's work with this specific unfinished task.
And just to wrap up, the source challenges you, the listener, directly. It links this whole discussion back to the mission's actual output. It asks, in your life, how many people have you genuinely helped move from spiritual darkness and blindness into the light?
Oof, that's direct.
Yeah. The measure of success here isn't how busy you were or even how many projects you started. It's about how aligned and truly fruitful you became in this specific mission.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on, building on all this. The concluding note in the source comes from Ephesians. It says, God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think.
The famous verse.
Right. But how? By the power that works within the follower. So if the whole foundation of this message is that Christ's massive unfinished work must continue through you, and that the potential working within you is vast, immeasurable, exceeding abundantly, what does that actually mean for the smallest task you're facing today? And maybe how does that challenge your own definition of what you're capable of?